Good Friday morning. Thank you for joining us here on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Jason Hackett. Let's get to your headlines. Developing this morning, former Vikings great Adrian Peterson out of the Hennepin County Jail after being booked early this morning for driving while intoxicated. According to court records, Peterson was booked at 5:15 this morning and released just after 7:30. According to State Patrol, Peterson was pulled over near Richfield for going 83 in a 55 and arrested on suspicion of a DWI. Peterson was just at the Vikings draft party last night. We'll be following the story all day. Make sure you stick with KARE 11 News Now for the latest. This morning, Luigi Mangione, the man accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, will be arraigned in federal court. Mangione faces federal and state murder charges. He was indicted last week on 2 counts of stalking, a firearms offense, and murder through the use of a firearm. If convicted on that last charge, he could face the death penalty. New today, President Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, met Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow on Friday for what Trump has said is a key moment in diplomacy to end the war in Ukraine. Now, Witkoff's latest visit to Moscow comes a day after Trump criticized a Russian missile and drone attack on Kyiv that killed at least 12 people and posted a message on social media to Vladimir Putin saying, quote, "Vladimir, stop." But Trump also said there's been significant progress in peace talks. This morning, the faithful continue to file past the coffin of Pope Francis inside of St. Peter's Basilica during what is the final day of public viewing ahead of tomorrow's funeral and burial services. Solemn ceremonies that will be much like the man himself, simple, understated, and focused on the Catholic faith. Jay Gray is at the Vatican this morning with a closer look.
Hey there, good morning. You know, Pope Francis was a humble servant from the beginning, foregoing the ornate lifestyle of many of his predecessors, choosing to live in a Vatican guest house instead of the apostolic palace, a simple, modest commitment to faith that continues in his passing. Tens of thousands have filed past his simple wooden casket, including the family of Pope Francis, kneeling, emotional during their visit. Thousands more wait in lines that stretch past preparations for his funeral, the beginnings of a stage and altar on the steps of St. Peter's Basilica, video screens for the large crowds expected to spill out of the square during Saturday's service.
It's a special liturgy specifically for the death of a pope. And towards the end, there is known what is known as the commendation and the final farewell, where there'll be a series of prayers over the coffin.
Wishing to be remembered as a shepherd and disciple and not a powerful man of this world, Francis chose to be buried outside of Vatican City at the Basilica of St. Mary Major, the first pope laid to rest there since the 17th century.
I think it's not a mere historical decision. It's much more than that. It speaks about his humility. It's about how much he wants to trust himself to the Immaculate Heart of Mary.
He'll be buried in a nook next to his favorite icon of the Holy Mother, saying in his testament, the tomb should be in the ground, simple, without particular ornamentation, bearing only the inscription, Franciscus. Francis called St. Mary Major his favorite Roman church, going directly from the airport to the church after every overseas trip and visiting more than 100 times during his 12 years as Pope. At the Vatican, I'm Jay Gray. Back to you now.
A new University of Minnesota initiative aims to safeguard vaccine information and recommendations and provide its own findings separate from federal health agencies. The U's Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy Director Dr. Michael Osterholm unveiled the project yesterday. Osterholm says the initiative will protect vaccination information if the federal government doesn't. This comes as Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. continues to be criticized over his record of vaccine skepticism and mixed messages over the measles vaccine.
Every day we see a greater erosion of vaccine confidence occurring. And so we do believe that all of those deserve comment. They deserve a factual approach, and we'll just continue to pursue that.
The group says it received a No Ties grant from Alumbra, and for now it will start with an 8-person steering committee that will help solidify the group's goals. So in a statement, a Health and Human Services spokesperson responded to this, calling the project, quote, led by establishment leaders. It's less about integrity and more about salvaging the credibility of a public health bureaucracy that failed millions during the COVID-19 pandemic. A huge development this morning in a nearly 14-year-long mystery. A woman is now charged after an infant later named Baby Angel was found dead in the Mississippi River in Winona back in 2011. Investigators made that announcement yesterday afternoon. That suspect, the infant's mother, is behind bars this morning, charged with second-degree manslaughter. Gordon Severson is here with how investigators cracked this case.
For more than 13 years, Baby Angel's tragic death has weighed heavily on the hearts of the Winona community.
A community with so many questions after a 2-day-old baby was found in the Mississippi River.
She deserved better than a watery grave. She deserved more than a life cut short.
Winona County Sheriff Ron Ganrud says he never gave up on the case, hoping one day they would find the person who's responsible. Thursday morning, deputies arrested Jennifer Nicole Beckley.
The PCA confirmed that Beckley is Baby Angel's mother.
According to the criminal complaint, initial DNA forensics showed a possible match to Beckley in March of 2023. Investigators asked Beckley for a voluntary DNA sample. She declined to provide one, according to the complaint, and soon hired a lawyer. Nearly a year later, investigators obtained a search warrant to force a DNA sample, and officials say it was a match.
This is yet another example where advancements in investigative technique and in forensic testing allow previously unsolvable cases a chance for answers.
But while many questions have been answered, investigators are still left wondering why.
I never forgot it. I prayed a lot.
Dave Brand was the sheriff when Baby Angel was found. He has long wondered what would motivate a mother to leave their child in the river.
I never get her out of my mind what she looked like. Looked like she was just sleeping when they brought her off the river.
He's also deeply troubled to hear Beckley is still living in the Winona area and is now married with 2 children.
I'm kind of surprised, and I'm wondering why she had to do what she did. I don't know the reason. I wish I did.
Well, heads up if you're heading south for the weekend. There's a major closure off I-35 that starts tonight. Audrey Russo is along that stretch of road with details and when it will all open back up.
The best way to describe the closures that are happening tonight on 35W is that the most impactful ones will actually last the shortest amount of time, only a couple of days or so. So let me flip it around so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Starting at 9, the busy section of 35W between 494 and Bloomington all the way down to the Burnsville split is shutting down in both directions. Now, the detour around it is going to bring a lot of congestion to an already busy part of the metro. Traffic around the airport, the Mall of America, going to get a lot more hectic, and I'm going to map out exactly why. This is a graphic that I found on the DOT website. They've outlined a path up 35E to 77 through Eagan, bypassing that 10-mile closure until it reopens on Monday at 6 a.m. 2 other closures starting tonight. Cliff Road under 35W and the ramp from Cliff Road to southbound 35W. Both of those closures are scheduled to last several months. So they're closing down at 9 and they are going to last through the summer. So that's just something for drivers in the Burnsville area to be aware of. Now, detours for the Cliff Road ramp closure depend on whether you're going east or west. Those are all listed out on the DOT's website. And this is all for that ongoing project to rehab 35. The plan is to replace and repair some bridges along that busy stretch of highway. Back to you.
Well, more of your headlines this morning. We're also tracking what the Vikings will do with their final 3 picks in the NFL draft. They're back on the clock tonight in Green Bay. We have new video to show you the moment the Vikings selected their #1 draft pick, offensive lineman Donovan Jackson.
I'm a Viking.
You can see the entire family there and friends erupting into cheers, an emotional moment for the 24th pick who watched the draft with his family. The Ohio State Buckeye will add extra protection for the Vikings' young QB, J.J. McCarthy. Their next pick is tonight, pick 97 in the 3rd round. New overnight, the Wild taking a 2-1 lead in their wild card playoff series against the Golden Knights over at the X. The game wrapped last night with the Wild winning 5-2. They take to the ice again tomorrow at the X. Puck drops at 3 p.m., so it's an early one. And tonight, the Wolves and the Lakers face off at Target Center for Game 3 of the playoffs. That series is tied right now, 1 apiece, but the Wolves looking to change that in their favor. That tips off tonight at 8:30. Lots of sports going on this weekend. Stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.